World War I changed everything. This war reshaped nations, redrew borders, and transformed the lives of millions. In the early years, Europe was a tapestry of alliances, secrets, and diplomatic failures. Nations built intricate networks of Archduke Franz Ferdinand sent shockwaves through Europe. Allies rushed to support one another, and soon conflict spread like wildfire. Old resentments found fresh voice in the fields of battle. The stage was set for a war that would engulf the world. In the early months of the conflict, the scale of devastation became apparent. Battles erupted along long, winding fronts. Armies clashed in trenches and open fields alike, each side determined to claim victory. This was a war where modern technology met traditional valor, creating a brutal new style of fighting. The conflict unleashed a series of dramatic events that would change history forever. Millions of soldiers marched to battle, each carrying hopes, dreams, and fears into the unknown. Among these soldiers, personal letters and diaries reveal the profound impact of war. Their words offer us a window into the human soul, one caught in the grips of despair and duty. As the fighting intensified, new military technologies emerged. Tanks, airplanes, and machine guns made their debut on the battlefield. Chemical weapons brought an unseen horror that challenged the very notion of warfare. In these brutal innovations, humanity saw both progress and madness. Each technological advance carried with it a cost measured not just in metal and fuel, but in the lives of those who fought. Deep in the trenches, soldiers faced a grim reality. Mud, constant fear, and the sound of artillery created a world that was both surreal and terrifying. Yet, amid the chaos, moments of courage and camaraderie shone through. Stories of valor emerged from the darkness. In letters written home and whispered in quiet moments, soldiers revealed a longing for the peace of simpler times. The human cost of World War I was staggering. Approximately 16 million people lost their lives. 10 million military members and 6 million civilians vanished in the conflict's cruel embrace. This statistic reminds us of the immense price paid in blood and tears. Each loss was a story, a life, a world forever altered by conflict. While the battlefields were the heart of the war, the political stage was equally dynamic. Old empires like the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, German, and Russian fell into disarray. One historian noted that the collapse of these powerhouses reshaped the political landscape of Europe and the Middle East. As rulers crumbled, new nations emerged, and old ideologies were questioned. A sweeping tide of change reshaped borders and determined the course of future generations. At the center of this transformative era were the alliances that once seemed unbreakable. Each nation, bound by oaths and treaties, found itself dragged inexorably into battle. Diplomacy, once a tool of art and persuasion, gave way to hardened military resolve. In this shifting world, no nation emerged unscathed, and every decision bore consequences felt for decades to come. The war's progression also saw the rise of intense political and economic pressures. The Treaty of Versailles emerged as both a conclusion and a catalyst. By imposing heavy reparations on Germany, the treaty sowed the seeds for future instability. Economic hardship and national humiliation went hand in hand. The path was laid for the rise of radical ideologies and, eventually, the outbreak of yet another global conflict. The Treaty of Versailles remains a stark illustration of how peace settlements can breed further discord. Beyond the battlefield and diplomatic negotiations, society itself was forever changed. The war accelerated social change in dramatic ways. Women, stepping into roles once reserved for men, transformed societies across the globe. As they entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers, the demands for suffrage and equality grew louder. This social reordering paved the way for future progress in civil rights and gender equality. In many ways, the conflict reshaped society itself, dismantling old hierarchies and inspiring new possibilities. Art and literature did not remain untouched by the war's devastating grip. The trauma of the conflict gave rise to the so-called lost generation, writers and artists who struggled to make sense of an indifferent world. Their works, filled with both disillusionment and hope, continue to influence our cultural memory. These creative voices captured the essence of a generation forever changed by the ravages of war. The maps that defined nations for centuries were redrawn in the aftermath of the conflict. The collapse of empires paved the way for new political orders and emerging ideologies. Borders that once seemed permanent dissolved, and a new world order took shape. In the ruins of the old emerged the vision of modern geopolitics, an order still felt in the politics of today. For those who lived through it, World War I was a crucible of suffering and hope. Families were torn apart, and communities were left to rebuild from the shattered remnants of war. Yet amid the grief, there was determination and resilience. The human spirit, tested against the most severe challenges, found ways to endure and rebuild. The lessons of this era are as meaningful today as they were a century ago. One cannot help but reflect on the personal stories that formed the tapestry of war. In isolated letters, soldiers described the fear of combat and the warmth of cherished memories. These voices, soft, desperate, and brave, remind us that history is not made solely of dates and battles. It is made of individual lives caught in the midst of monumental events. Their stories continue to resonate, urging us to remember and learn from the past. In the wake of World War I, international efforts sought to forge a more peaceful future. The League of Nations emerged as a hopeful experiment in global cooperation. Although its mission was ultimately undermined by future conflicts, the idea that nations could come together to prevent war has endured. The League's evolution laid an ideological foundation that would inspire later efforts by the United Nations and other bodies dedicated to maintaining peace. This war not only reshaped national boundaries, but also left enduring imprints on military strategy. Modern warfare adopted a new face as commanders learned lessons from brutal trench battles. Tactical evolutions, such as combined arms warfare and the coordinated use of new technology, bore witness to a conflict driven by innovation and necessity. The legacy of these lessons still influences military strategies and global defense policies. Each chapter of World War I offers vital insights into the interplay of cause and effect. The alliances of a bygone era set the stage for conflict. Political tensions escalated with alarming speed. The resulting battles tested the limits of human endurance. And the post-war treaties, while ending the fighting, opened new chapters of discontent and struggle. History teaches us that every action and reaction holds consequences that echo across time. In reflecting on this transformative event, we are reminded of the fragility of peace. The war taught us harsh lessons about the cost of conflict and the importance of understanding history. Its legacy lives on in the societal changes, political transformations, and technological innovations that continue to define our modern world. Every map drawn, every treaty signed, and every personal sacrifice contributed to a future that remains relevant today. The legacy of World War I is woven into the fabric of modern society. Its enormous loss of life, the collapse of empires, and the profound cultural shifts all serve as enduring reminders. As we study these events, we grasp the complexity of historical change and the resilience of the human heart. The war's memory challenges us to consider our own responsibility in shaping a better future. Today, historians continue to peel back the layers of this global conflict. They examine battlefield strategies, diplomatic maneuvers, and personal memoirs to construct a comprehensive picture of a world at war. Their work helps us understand not just what happened, but why it mattered. The lessons of World War I remain a critical part of our global heritage, offering guidance for confronting contemporary challenges. The narrative of World War I is a testament to the perils of unchecked ambition and the unpredictable nature of alliances. It is also a story of how societies rise, adapt, and move forward after unspeakable loss. In its we examine this war. Its echoes can be seen in the political tensions that shake our current world. The war changed the face of military